Hello everyone! Oh good, it seems like the mic is working. Let me know if you can hear me okay and everything is coming through okay. This is a different setup so the regulars can let me know if anything's gone awry because we're in my teaching room today, which is quite unusual, as you'll be aware. You'll see me do videos in here, but I don't normally do lives in here, so hopefully everything's going to hold up okay. We're in here because we have a special celebration. This guy, Concept Collection, the first one, which is on the theme of Six Flats, it has come out today. So let me know if you're a member and you've already seen the digital edition. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What we're going to be doing today is just sort of going through each of the pieces, maybe giving you some ideas on how I would teach each one, as well as playing a little bit of a flavour of each one as we go through as well. But on the pages for these you can hear clips of each piece. We've put together a kind of video which is like the first chunk of each piece, so you can get a good sense of what they're all about and what they look like. Yeah, so I see Joanna is here, and Tanya, and Lizzo, Rachel, Music Kitchen, I'm the Music Alone, I love all the YouTube names, and Nancy just joined, awesome. Okay, so yeah, let me know if you've checked it out already. Let me know also your thoughts about teaching music in Six Flats, because it's not something we get to do a lot, and I think we should be getting to do it more. So that's something that I'm looking to solve with this edition. Let me know, what stage do you think your music students, most of them, meet music that has six flats in the key signature, whether it's E flat minor, G flat major. When do they normally get to that point? I feel like, when did you get to that point? I feel like in my own music journey, I can't remember the first time, but I would say I was like late teens. Like I wouldn't say it was early on. It kind of depends what pieces you pick and things, if you have some choice over your repertoire. But yeah, it can be a fun one to explore with students way earlier than that, so that they're a lot more comfortable with the whole idea of key signatures and everything like that. So Juliet has already downloaded the digital edition. So the way these work, by the way, is that members get access to a digital studio license version. So you can download that and keep it forever and print it as many times as you want for your own students. However, you can only download it within the 2-month window that this collection is live, okay? So it's live from now, February 1st, till March 31st of this year, 2023, and after that it will have disappeared forever. There will be no hard copies, no digital editions after that, because that's the way the licensing works with the composers. So there's not going to be any exceptions to that. And as I said, members can download the digital version. And if you're not a member, or even if you are a member, you can also purchase hard copies. Anyone can do that, and that's on the Colourful Keys store. So we have all the links in the description for you if you want to check them out. As I said, you can listen to little excerpts there as well. Juliet says she starts with rote pieces and improvisation and always start with the black keys. Right, I think that's really common, but I think a lot of the time we don't meet it in like looking at it on the staff in its physical state until much later, don't you think? So that's absolutely true. I feel like the tide has really turned that direction, and it's turning more and more all the time towards teachers starting or towards the beginning introducing students to improvisation through the black keys, because it's just this natural, wonderful pentatonic scale, and we can play in G flat and it's easy peasy. But we don't necessarily get to do that on the staff as much through reading material. Oh nice, Rachel's gonna print out the digital copy and bind it with her book binder, so that's really cool. Tanya said, I didn't play in Six Flats till teens or college. Yeah, that's where I think I'm at too. But it really wasn't until I started teaching rote pieces that I got comfortable in it. It wasn't until I started teaching in general. Like in the beginning stages of many primers of method books, you see a lot of teacher accompaniments in Six Flats, in G flat major or sometimes E flat minor, where the student is playing, you know, finger number reading pieces, pre-reading pieces on the black keys. A lot of methods start that way. So when you become a teacher, you have to be comfortable reading those pieces. But with our own reading, maybe we didn't meet it until much later. Okay, so before we dive into looking at some of these pieces and giving you some teaching ideas for all of them, or a preview of them if you haven't checked them out yet, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, the prize drawing, because regular viewers will know we've started doing this prize drawing every week. And last week I totally missed it. So we're definitely going to do that today. I just forgot before we wrap the show. I normally do it at the end. Just totally escaped my mind. I was focused on so many other things. So we're going to do that today. Make sure to yell at me if I start to wrap things up and I haven't done the prize drawing. But the way that works is I pick someone from the comments. So today I'm glancing off to the side. I'm just looking at the comments on my iPad here. So yeah, I'll just do a random swipe up and down and I'll pick someone from the comments at the end of the show and they will win a prize from our spinning wheel. So yeah, we'll do that at the end of the show. The other bit of news that I don't think I filled you guys in on is that I just got accepted to speak at NCKP this summer. So that is in July. If you haven't been before, NCKP is the National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy. So that's national as in the US. And it's the last week. I think it's weekdays rather than the weekend. But anyway, it's the end of July, something like the 26th or around there. And I got accepted to give 2 presentations, which is really cool. So I'll be speaking about scales and also about metrics. So one like pedagogy one and one businessy one, which is really cool. And we'll also have a showcase there for vibrant music teaching. So I'll have really 3 sessions. So hopefully if you're coming, you'll be able to catch at least one of those. And I'd love to chat to you in between sessions as well and stuff like that. And we're going to have a booth in the exhibit hall as well. So our team member Sarah is going to be there manning that and womaning that. And yeah, it should be really fun. We'll have games there. We'll have loads of fun stuff going on. So it should be awesome. So if you haven't been before, let me just give you a little nudge. If you're at all able to make it, so NCKP is near Chicago. It's in Lombard, Illinois. And if you have never been to like in-person conferences before, I know how scary it is. Like I was so scared at first, but it can be fantastic. And you'll be surprised how welcoming people are and how easy it is to strike up conversations, because it's not like other random awkward social situations if you're someone who feels a bit nervous about that, because you have this natural thing to talk about. You're on the same wavelength, you know, you're all piano teachers, and so there's always something to strike up a conversation about. You don't have to be scared of the whole social part or of going alone. I went to my first one alone. See, this time Sarah from the team is coming with me, which is awesome, but you don't have to go with a buddy, although it's great if you can organize that with a teacher friend. So Carrie said, I applaud your pronunciation of Illinois. Do people mispronounce that? I think people know Illinois. The easy one to mispronounce is Arkansas, right? Because you look at that and you're like, what? I didn't get that connection for ages. Okay, so yeah, that one's in July in Illinois. I'm also going to be at MTNA. So if you're already going to that, or you can like book a last minute ticket to that, that's at the end of March. So it's coming up real soon. And it's in Reno, Nevada. So if you're over like on the west side of the country, maybe that's easier for you to get to. So I'm giving one session again there about scales, and I would love to meet you at either of those. That was my little announcement. So good to see the chat hopping and lots of people talking about NCKP and other things going on. In the Music Alone said, great idea having a book dedicated to a particular strategy. My teacher kept me in easy keys. I'm going to put in the quotes for you, even though you didn't write them. And I was always led to believe 6 flats was just scary and for the pros. Is that the feeling any of you got? Because I think that's the feeling a lot of us get. Okay, nice. So we're going to start going through these pieces. Let me give you some background around this book. So the idea for concept collections didn't start with 6 flats, although that was one of the early concepts to make it in. But the whole idea of this was there are these things us as teachers we need to teach, and sometimes we can't find the right repertoire to do so. So a lot of us rely on like method books to have the repertoire that we want for the concepts that we want to cover, like something that's an easy way to introduce sharps or flats, or key signatures or particular rhythm patterns or whatever it may be. And sometimes a method book doesn't cover something that we wish it would, or it covers it kind of in the wrong order, in the wrong place, so the concepts don't quite line up. And we just need extra repertoire to teach the things in the places and at the times that we want to teach them. And so what I'm trying to do with these collections is bring you amazing composers. We'll talk about the composers in a second. Amazing composers with brand new pieces that hone in on one specific skill, and they range from like beginner through to intermediate level, because that's where I see these gaps happening. You can find pretty much anything you want at like a late intermediate advanced level, but we have to get our students up there first, right? So each of these collections focuses on one concept, so that you have this whole palette of pieces. And if you have the digital edition, because you're a member, then you can pick and choose. So you can like have a student who's right at the beginning and you just do one of the first pieces, or pick out different pieces to assign to them, or you could walk through the whole book. I see that as being really great for a student who is at the, say, intermediate level, but they're not comfortable with the key that we're talking about here, or whatever the concept is in each particular book that we're looking at. They can start with those beginning pieces and really gain confidence as they go through with this variety of 10 beautiful pieces in this key of 6 flats. So let's talk about our composers. They're on the front right here on the beautiful cover, if I do say myself. So we've got Grace Christus, Victoria Lotkowictz, Samantha Coates, Stacey Fahrion, and Darren Day. And they're all awesome. If there's any of those that you haven't heard of so far, you're in for a treat, because you get to discover a new composer. So this also helps you to meet new composers, and then you can go dive into their repertoire. So a lot of these are self-published composers. You can find other pieces of theirs around, or they're published under various publishers, but you can start to dig into, I really like the way this composer writes, and have your opportunities there to really explore lots of different things. Rachel asked, are the songs at the same level? No. So as I said, I'll clarify, they go from beginner to intermediate. So the composers are allowed to write I want them to have freedom to write pieces that they really want to write and not be too constricted. So they were just required to give us one beginner and one intermediate-ish piece, right? So I've organized them into a rough order of difficulty, but there's many subjective ways of looking at that. But it does start from a much easier piece, and by the end they're much trickier. But if you're looking for those who work in kind of exam levels, we're talking about a pre-grade 1, like elementary or whatever you call those levels, preliminary, primary, there's different names, all the way through to like a grade 3 to 4, something like that. So beginner to intermediate. Okay, so let's take a look inside the book. So the way it works is we have some info about the composers here, which I love because these are all contemporary composers, right? They're alive right now. They wrote these pieces especially for us. And it's great for students to really connect with those composers, to appreciate that they could be them if they want to, and that these are real people, writing pieces, and all of these are piano teachers as well, right? And then we have here the piece notes. Now this was really important for me to include because it's one of my favorite parts of some books that have piece notes from the composer. I love to hear from them. What do they want the student to focus on? What do they think they should watch out for? What's their inspiration behind the piece? So I gave them the opportunity to share with us a little bit about each of the pieces. So these are in the words of each composer. And then after that we have the pieces. So I'm going to play you a little bit of the different ones. The first one in this book is Doorbell, and this is by Samantha Coates. So if you're not familiar with Samantha Coates, she writes rote repertoire. So if you go to roterepertoire.com, you'll find all of Sam's amazing pieces. And she's also the woman behind Blitz Books, which you may have heard of as well. So rote repertoire, these are just some of my favorite rote pieces, and they're so clever. The way her pieces work on her side is they have 3 levels. I've done previous videos about these, so you can dive deep into my YouTube channel if you want to check out more details about that. But the way they basically work is you have 3 levels of each piece. So they start more simply, and then level 2 will add something or make something slightly more complex, and level 3 will take it up another notch, and then they're encouraged to write their own level 4, so their own variation, their own version of the piece after that. So this isn't one of those, but that's what Sam does generally if you want to check out more of what she does. That being said, she's a master of writing rote pieces at this stage because she does so many of them. So this is a gorgeous, very simple piece that students will just love. I'm going to play you the first half so you can get a sense of it. So this again is Doorbell by Samantha Coates. I should have been saying the words, so let's do that. I've tried the doorbell, but no one's home. I've tried it twice now, maybe I'll knock. So that was just to give you a little bit of a sense of the piece. I spoke the words rather than singing at the start because I find with this mic, when I sing and play the piano at the same time, sometimes you can't really hear exactly what I'm saying. I wanted to get the sense of the words. So I would definitely get students to sing that. So you'll see here, it's even notated. It says, maybe I'll knock, and it's spoken. And it's so cute. Exactly, Carrie. I love this. So it continues like that, and there's the little knocking bit. Students love when there's a bit where you get to knock out the rhythm on the foldboard. Like, it's just, this would be a great beginner recital piece. Great to teach by rote and then to refer back to the score. That's generally the way I would approach this, is teach it to them by rote and then just, you know, put up the score and talk about, oh, you're playing this pattern here and this pattern there. And the key signature over here means that's why we know we're playing on all these black keys. And I would keep it that simple for a student at this level in terms of talking about the key signature. After that one, we have Sunrise Over the Savanna. So this is by Victoria Lotkowictz, and it's a gorgeous piece. Okay, it's just wonderful. I'm going to play a little bit of it for you. Again, you could teach this by rote as well. That was likely how I would approach it. But if you have a student who's further ahead like this, and this is at their reading level, absolutely they could read it. I just think it would be a really impressive rote piece for something like a recital for a student who's not at this reading level, because it's very playable. I'll show you a little bit of it. So this again is Sunrise Over the Savanna by Victoria Lotkowictz. Okay, sorry, I couldn't resist playing the whole thing. That's the entire piece. But it has so many great things you could work on. I love how much dynamic contrast there is in this piece. So that would be my main focus. I would be teaching the student probably by rote, but focusing on the dynamics really straight away. And it is an impressive sounding piece, and it is really simple to play. I think you could teach this to, say, a late beginner quite quickly, and even a beginner a little bit more slowly. So you see all the dynamic changes there. So we're going forte to mezzo forte, and then we've got this mezzo piano section in the middle. And then at the end, hopefully you noticed, Sorry, I'm pointing on this side. The Malta Rit. So I did that as dramatically as I could. I would really have them milk that because I just think it's a great opportunity. Yeah, the movement in the left hand is great because it's a great one to practice. Even if you had a student say, what's that piece called? If you were doing piano safari with a student and you were up to trumpet sounds. Now that one doesn't move in octaves, but it does start moving the fifths around, and a lot of students, they need to get really comfy with that. So this is a great other one to work on that skill of like jumping around, and they'll love it because it just sounds so impressive. Like when they get that and they have the time, because those jumps, they're minims, right? They're half notes, so it's not too demanding to perform that on time and to play it majestically as it's described at the top there. So just a gorgeous piece. Okay, the next one then is by Christus, and the title is To Sleep, Perchance to Dream. So as you may be able to guess, it's quite a different mood. Let me show you how I would approach teaching this. So in this one, my preferred approach would be to teach them the left hand first. I'll show you the score a little bit. So you can see we've got these largely repeating patterns in the right hand, and then the left hand is really carrying it. So I would teach them this left hand pattern, sort of sped up first. So that I would teach them the first section, like just up to, and then after that it gets even simpler to remember. So once they get that initial bit of the left hand, whether they're reading or again, this could be a rote piece in my view, then I would start to introduce them to these right hand patterns. It starts off with just the same pattern over and over, and then it goes to. So it's just a gorgeous effect when you put them together. I mean, it's just so effective. And this is very different to the one on the opposite page, Sunrise Over the Savanna. So that one's all about this dramatic thing going on here, and this is a lot more subtle. A lot of room for really expressive playing here, and a lot of opportunity for that. It's marked piano. There are some crescendi, diminuendi, but otherwise there's no loud markings in the piece. And it finishes off at the very end as pianissimo. Right? So just gorgeous, simple ending. So there's two real things. I would be working on this left hand pattern first, then adding in these repeating right hand patterns with the change there. That's going to take a bit of work. So this part, there's actually a bit of coordination going on there because it goes 2, 3, 2, 4. I'd say that's going to take the most work for most students. So I would drill that part with them. But yeah, once they get that, putting them together is not challenging. The coordination side of things is not difficult because you've just got crotchets, quarter notes in your right hand, and then you've got the dotted minims in the left hand most of the time. So yeah, it's quite simple to put together. And then once they've got all of that, that's when I start to talk about the pedal. So it is basically standard legato pedaling there, you can see. So I would add that in as the final layer, but so this is just a general tip, but when I'm working on a student with pedaling in their beginning stages of really getting comfortable with legato pedaling, I tend to have them practice in two different ways. One is hands together with no pedal, and then the other is left hand plus the pedal, because you've really got three elements there. So I have 2, and then 2 is in the left hand and the foot. Just practicing this. Great exercise to work on the legato pedaling. And they just live for that part. And then once they've got those two ways of playing it, that's when I put them together. That's just a general thing about my approach to pedaling. Yeah, so that is To Sleep, Perchance to Dream, the third piece in the book by Christus. Let me know what you think of that one. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, Rachel, playing through them yourself is so fun. I was doing that earlier today to make sure I was like prepared for this, and I had played through them a lot, right? Because I edited this, I put all the book together and everything, but I hadn't played them for a little while because, you know, then we were getting them printed and etc. and doing all the setup. So it had been a little while, and I got to the end of the book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good book. And it's not tooting my own horn because they're not my pieces. I didn't do it. Okay, the next one in the book is Sam Coates again. So Samantha Coates, again, she's from wroterepertoire.com if you want to check out her other stuff. So this one is called In the Mirror. I'm going to show you what I love about this piece. So I'll show you the start. It goes like this. Okay, so I'm stopping there because I just love how comfortable this is. And especially for your littler handed students. I have smallish hands, but you know, as a student, most of our students have quite small hands and they don't, you know, they're in a 5-finger position and it's fine. But it's not actually the size of their hand. This is, right? So a lot of the time they're kind of stretched out. Whereas this, it's the same argument people make for starting scales with B, or I make the argument for starting with G flat, because it's just got this natural, you know, your thumb is little and it's just resting on the white keys. So this has all that going on when you play this pattern. So it's something that a student who is not amazing at like scale passages, playing quickly and playing legato and having it sound really even, a student who's not really mastered that yet could get this really well. And that's what I love about it, because it's just so comfy. And it would be, yeah, so effective. Okay, so again, this one could be taught by rote. As I said, Samantha Coates does specialise in rote pieces. You could definitely read this one too. And I think it's a great opportunity to bridge that gap with the reading of G flat and yeah, just finding the shapes. Because, you know, you're in this spot and all they need to do is initially you can talk them through working out the flats. And I like to talk about, so high flat keys, like where we are right now, it's much easier to remember what the 2 white keys are, right? So this is a great example of that, because you can just figure out, okay, I've got all these black keys, and only if I have an F or if I have a C is it going to be a white key, because that's a C flat, right? And once they work that out, they're just sort of in this shape. They don't have to be rigid about it, but they find it's very comfortable to play. And they move out to here. And then you've got this, I'll show you on the other camera. This great little note. Hopefully I'll be able to pick it up. I hold it close enough. It says, "This line looks scary, but it's just chromatic." Which I love. Sam put that in there. That wasn't the editor adding that. She put that in. I was delighted to add it while we were editing it because, yeah, it's just so fun. She's right. It does look scary, but it is just chromatic. So it's got double flats and, you know, double flats and double sharps, by the way. Students love those. They are kind of intimidating, but they're also just like so weird that they're really fun. That's what I find anyway. So that is In the Mirror by Samantha Coates. Another gorgeous piece from her. The next one is from Darren Day. So if you're not familiar with Darren, he is from this island right here. He lives up in the north of Ireland, and this piece is called The Playful Panda. So this is one of 2 pieces in the book that's in 5/4. That's just coincidence, but I kind of love it that we ended up with 2 pieces in 5/4. They're both really fun. This piece has an element which I know many of you will know students love. Okay, so let me show you. In the second line, it starts doing this, I'll go from the start. Any students who love that? Any opportunity to cross the hands over tends to be really fun. The other thing I absolutely love about this piece, and is a great opportunity for talking about storytelling and expression, is Darren has put in all these markings. So again, I think this camera is clearer for this, but you see it says lively as Panda plays, and then slow a little as Panda gets a bit tired, and then slowly and calmly as Panda rests, and then at the very end it says Panda nods off. So it's got these different slowing down sections essentially. And they're not like, most of it anyway is not gradual, it's like tempo changes and stuff, but it's just a great opportunity to think about, okay, it's this playful panda and then he gradually gets more tired. You know, it's a great way for especially younger students to really connect with their music. It's going to make sense to them. So cute. Lisa said, my students will love 5-4, especially those who have already honoured Star Wars and Dave Brubeck Day. Yeah, absolutely. 5-4 is just, it's so much fun. Okay, the next one is another one from Victoria. This is Magical Dance at Midnight. I'm just going to play you a bit of the melody. I think this is so kind of hauntingly beautiful in that way. So it goes like this. And while that gorgeous melody is happening, you've got these left-hand patterns going in that kind of pattern throughout the piece. So a great thing for your intermediate students to start to get comfortable with that kind of shape, but none of them are really, you know, a lot of these patterns that come up are really a lot more extended. So it's more unusual to find them that are so comfortable for small hands, is my point really. Yeah, gorgeous piece there. And then we have A Journey Home by Darren J. I'm not going to be able to go through the entirety of the pieces, so I'll just give you a little flavour of a couple of these. So another one from Darren J, who, as I said, is from the north of Ireland. So this one, it starts to add, I'll show you on this camera this time, some little inner voices there. So great for working on balancing the hand without it being too much. It's an easier version of that in my view. And then we have Morning Light. I know I shouldn't have a favourite, but this is probably my favourite. This is by Stacey Fahrion, and I actually played this recently for our concert. We had our little, sort of a mini concert, which was a naked piano concert, and I played this because sometimes students, anyone else find this, do you have any students who, or maybe all of your students, who just think that things have to get more complex and faster and faster to be better? And one of the lessons I think you learn as you grow older and grow into your skills is that sometimes a simple piece is much more beautiful, and things don't have to be, you know, ridiculous. You can really show your skill by playing a simple piece of music beautifully and really expressively, rather than always pushing more. So that was really what I was trying to subtly get across by choosing this piece. Also, just I was excited because it's a brand new collection, and I'm so excited to have it come out. So this is what I played recently for that concert. So I won't play the whole thing, but I'll play the start of it for you. I'm going to cut myself off because otherwise I will play the whole thing. It's very hard to resist that. But yeah, I just love it. It takes a simple idea, it's in 5/4, you know, it's got the G flat key signature, and it's really just anyone recognize that, right? So it's, you know, it's nothing revolutionary, and I don't mean that to be disparaging of Stacey. I actually mean that's why it's great. It's taken something that's simple but effective and turned it into something that is brand new, feels really new, and feels really wonderful. And they develop it even further throughout the piece. So I love it. As I said, this is my favourite if I have to pick one. Mostly because I learned it properly to play it for the concert. Nancy said, more complex, faster and faster. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm struggling with that as we speak. Some students drive me crazy. Yeah, and I get it. Like, and there is a part of that that's just youth, and I think we shouldn't always fight against it. But I do want to teach them a little bit about, okay, but beauty, you know? Anyway, okay, I'll just play you the little nugget of the beginning, the hook of this next one. So this is New Threads. It's by Christus again. So this is a bluesy piece. It goes like this. Okay, so the bit I stumbled over there for a second is where you have a double flat as well. So again, another double flat to bring to the party. This is more of a showcase piece for more intermediate. Not super hard. I mean, it's got just this kind of pattern in the left, but it would take a little bit more work, or it would be for an intermediate student. Definitely tackleable for an early intermediate, like a grade 2 kind of level for sure. Okay, then we have the last piece in the book. I'm not going to play this for you, I'm just going to show it to you. I decided earlier. So as I said, you can listen to the little excerpts of every piece on the site, and the links are all in the description. The reason I just want to show you this though is look at that mess of time signatures. Isn't that great? And I don't mean that it's a mess. It's not a mess. It's beautiful. But it goes 6/8 for 2 bars, 7/8 for 2 bars, 6/8 for 2 bars, 7/8 for 2 bars. And it kind of goes back and forth like that. I think it changes, yeah, right at the end, where it just stays in 7/8 a little bit longer. But it's going back and forth between those two. And I think that's great because you can really get across a lot about playing with a strong sense of beat, meter, you know, really understanding those things. And this is one where if you do have students who want to play, you know, a bit fast and flashy, but you want to get them to play something that brings out their expressive skills, that is the piece. Because if you just show them a little bit of it, it's like going back and forth between the hands. It's got these undulating time signatures. It's gorgeous. And it is, you know, it can be played fast and be really effective, but it also needs expression to make it really sing, you know. And it's gorgeous in that sense. It's a good combination. If I didn't say already, that's Mountain Rainstorm is what that's called, and that's the last piece in the book. So it is the most difficult. It's still not super difficult, okay? It's nothing crazy. Definitely approachable for a grade 2 early intermediate student who really loves it, or like a grade 3 intermediate kind of student who also likes it but just isn't like really driven. You'd need a bit more drive to get it at that earlier stage, but yeah. All gorgeous pieces. I hope you'll agree. I want to actually take this as a chance to thank so much in public each of these composers for not only putting together these pieces, but putting their faith in me. This is the first collection that we put together. So it was a brand new idea, something completely different that isn't normally done. And these 5 all said yes, and the composers in the next edition, obviously. But before they'd even seen what we could do. And I think it's wonderful that they put their faith in it, and we've come up with something so gorgeous. So, as I said, this is available inside the membership. So that's vibrantmusicteaching.com. If you're coming across me for the first time, you don't know where the membership is, vibrantmusicteaching.com. Again, link in the description. So in the membership, you'll find the digital collection that is a studio license. Members, if you're watching right now, you have to download this before the 31st of March. So if you're watching this right now, today, as I'm going live, just download it now, okay? If you're a member now, download it now, save it somewhere safe, don't lose it. Print it out so you have a hard copy. Tanya said she just printed it, so awesome. Okay, and then if you want a hard copy, so they look like this, and honestly, if it were me, this is what I would want. I really like to have properly printed hard copies of books to give to students. So I would personally be downloading the digital edition to have on my iPad, which I have, and then I'll be giving my students the hard copy book because I just prefer them to have something really to treasure the music. That maybe I'm old-fashioned, but that's what I like. I love them to have proper hard copy books, and I think they appreciate it too. yes, as Nancy said in the chat there, the next version is called The Other Pedals. So that's the one coming in April. You can look forward to that. Gorgeous pieces in that too. Another 5 amazing composers. But what we mean by the other pedals is the middle on a grand piano or a fake grand piano like mine, and the left. So they're the pedals that your students always ask you about, and you never have a piece to actually use to show them, to let them use it. You just have to say, you have to wait till you're playing Debussy. No more. You're not going to have to wait anymore. That's the next collection. So yeah, Juliet, great collection of pieces which I can't wait to teach. Love it. Oh, Juliet had a question too. How often do you plan to bring out these concept books? Okay, so for this year, the plan is, now these are a new thing, so we'll be seeing how we go. But the plan is we have this one right now, that's February, March. Then number 2 is definitely April, May. The plan for number 3 is for it to be August, September. So we've skipped June, July because most of our members and most of the teachers are in this hemisphere. So sorry to be biased against those in the southern hemisphere. Most of us are up here. And therefore, in the summer, I just think a lot of teachers are just going to miss it. And then they can't download it later and they're going to be really annoyed at us. So we skipped that and went with August, September so that everyone has a good chance to download that. And then hopefully number 4 will be October, November. So there are 4 coming out this year. That's the plan. Abby, so excited to play all of these. Can't wait for the day I have more intermediate students so I can teach them also. Yeah, but definitely those first like 3 or 4 pieces, very, very doable for your beginner students. I promise you. You'll be surprised how easy they are to play, and yet they're really effective. Tanya said, I love the pedal idea. That's fab. Love that, Tanya. Okay, I'm going to do my drawing before I forget. Oh, sorry. Carrie had a question. I'll just answer that first. What model of piano are you playing on today? This is a Kawai NV10. So it's a Novus NV10. People always ask me why I didn't get the NV10S or the NV5. We have the NV5 in the other room. Why I didn't get the NV5S, excuse me. Because they didn't exist when I purchased them is the answer to that. But yeah, this is the Kawai Novus NV10. So it is a hybrid that's based off a grand piano essentially. And the NV5, which is in the other room, which if you can hear some very faint playing, maybe from the other room, that's the NV5. Because the other teacher is teaching there right now, and that is modeled off an upright. So the NV5 has a full soundboard in the back, which makes it a really special digital upright version, you know, it's a hybrid as well. And then this is, as you can see, lower down because it's modeled off a grand piano, and they're both gorgeous. Very pricey, but I love them. If you want the full details, by the way, on my opinion about these pianos and all of that, there is a separate review video on each of those where I give the details on kind of why I had to purchase these pianos rather than keeping my acoustic, which is downstairs. I still have it, etc. Okay, I'll leave that for the other video if you want to look it up. Now, let's do the prize drawing. So I'm going to flip randomly through the chat, and wherever my finger lands, that's going to be the one. Okay, here we go. Bit different than my normal scroll wheel. I can scroll faster than I can. Okay, and oh, Lisa. So Lisa, if you're still here, just give us a shout. That is Elizabeth Kisselstein, but I know she goes by Lisa. The comment I landed on was my students will love 5/4, especially those who have already honoured Star Wars. It was that comment that I landed on. So yeah. Let me know if you're still here, Lisa. I'm going to do the spin the wheel to see what it is you're going to get, or if you're not here, someone else is going to get. So let's just find the side now. Okay. Try and hold this up so you can see. Okay, here we go. Going to spin the wheel. Go. Okay, it's hard to read that. Digital stickers is what we've landed on. Okay, so Lisa, get in touch with me if you want your digital stickers. Yes, she's there. Awesome. Yeah, just shoot us an email. Lisa, you probably know it, but support@vibrantmusicteaching.com, and we can get that prize over to you there. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining me today. It has been a blast as always. And next week we'll probably be back in my normal live streaming space, which is the office. If you have other things you want me to go through here at the piano, we can definitely try this setup again, so you can let me know. But next week we're going to be back in the office talking about one of our teaching topics, and yeah, I'm just excited to see you there. Bye everyone.